dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings thou shalt trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler.
He sent an angel to bring me into the place which He prepared in the wilderness where I wanna be. He is our refuge and fortress to lead us in the wilderness where I wanna be.
Now, we're going to read the commandments from Exodus, the 20th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Let's go to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, and we're going to read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Now, keep reading. Finish.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Now let's go into Revelation, the 22nd chapter. Read verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they might have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
Thank you, Brother Julius. Now we're going to get right into the lesson. The title of this lesson is A Prophet Like Unto Moses. A Prophet Like Unto Moses. Sisters and brothers, the Lord gave us all kind of signs so we will know when he showed up in the flesh. He let us know, he gave us so many things. That's why he said, search the scripture, and them you think you have eternal life, but they are they that testify of me. He letting you understand, sisters and brothers, that Jesus letting you understand that he just didn't pop up on the scene without being announced. He was announced from the first writer in the Bible, which was Moses, until the last writer in the Bible. So the whole thing is, sisters and brothers, all the prophets, from Moses to Malachi, spoke of Jesus. And we're going to look at this and show you that Jesus was indeed a prophet like unto Moses. We're going to start this in Deuteronomy, 18th chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 18, and we're going to start reading at verse 15. Because the reason the Lord calls me to put this together, sisters and brothers, to let people know that you can say all you want about Jesus, but your conversation is your personal conversation, and you can read whatever book you want to read. But this Bible is the one that announced Jesus coming, and it cannot be denied. So let's look at this, let's investigate this prophet like unto Moses. Deuteronomy 18 and verse 15. Okay, go ahead.
The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken.
Now, he's letting you know that this prophet going to be raised up from among the Israelites, among our brethren. And he said, like unto me. So Jesus couldn't have come from no other nation. He had to come by way of Israel, sisters and brothers. And he said, and you're going to listen to this prophet. Go ahead and read.
According to all that thou desirest of the Lord thy God in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying,
Go ahead.
Let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not.
Now, Israel made this request. When the Lord stood on Mount Sinai and spoke to the people, once he got through speaking, the people removed from the mountain and told Moses, look, we don't want to hear the Lord no more, lest we die. So whatever the Lord tell you, Moses, we will do. But we don't want to hear it. And the Lord heard them. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken.
They have been very clear. Go ahead.
I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee. And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him.
He said, so I'm going to raise up a prophet like you, Moses, just like you. And we're going to show you he mean literally like him. And saying this prophet is going to speak all the words that I command him. He's not going to come speaking of himself. Go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him.
He said, look, and if you don't listen to this prophet, and the words that my words that he's going to speak in my name, it's going to be required of you. In other words, if you don't listen to this prophet like unto Moses, you got a problem, sister and brother. But what we're going to do is we're going to compare that prophet unto Moses by you going to the scriptures, sisters and brothers. We want to show you that the Lord have this all laid out. So if you want to know, identify this prophet that's like unto Moses, then you have to have a close look at Moses. So let's start this out in Exodus, the 1st chapter. When Israel went out into Egypt, and when they was released from Egypt. Let's go into Exodus chapter 1. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Because in order to understand, to compare somebody with someone else, you have to know the one that you are comparing them to.
Yes.
Exodus 1 and 1. Go ahead.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob.
Now these are talking about the children of Israel, because he said going to come from among your brethren. So skip down to verse 5. These are the children that came out of Jacob. Go ahead and read.
And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already.
Go ahead.
And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceeding mighty. And the land was filled with them.
So now, Joseph went on to Egypt as a slave. And Joseph rose up to be the second ruler in Egypt. In fact, he was the viceroy. He ran Egypt because the Pharaoh stepped back and let him deal with that. And Egypt prospered and survived a big drought because of Joseph. But then Joseph got old, he died, and all the original Israelites that was down to his brethren, they died. And so now Israel started having a whole lot of babies, and they filled the land. And when they saw them having all these babies, you had a Pharaoh that looked at it, and they was afraid of Israel. So he made a move on us. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
Go ahead.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So now Israel was in the land, but I guess they was good for the land. They did a whole lot of menial labor, like we do wherever we go. But they was not chattel slaves. They had not been put in slavery, but apparently they was doing some good because this Pharaoh didn't want Israel to get up out of the land.
Yes.
That's why I said, unless we have a war and they side with our enemies and get them up out of the land. So apparently they wanted us there. We probably was real good for business. However, good we was, they said we're going to put some restrictions on them so they won't be able to get out of the land. We're going to make slaves out of them. Go ahead and read. And this is your first labor, sisters and brothers, Israel's first labor. Go ahead and read.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
So now when they put them in chattel slavery, the more they afflicted Israel, the more babies Israel had. So they had to make another turn. Let's see what that was. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15, and go ahead.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah.
Now, midwife, she is not a doctor, but she is a woman that specializes in delivering babies, because I was delivered by a midwife. So now he went and spoke to these midwives, because he wanted to get them to do commit genocide. Go ahead and read.
And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Why let the women live and not the son? Because the man carried the seed, sisters and brothers. So if he had killed all the males in Israel, then all of the babies had by the Hebrew women, by the Egyptians, would have been Egyptians.
That is right.
So he had a plan to effectively, Egyptians that look just like you, had to effectively wipe out a whole nation. Because all he had to do was kill all the males. If he killed all the males,
yes,
and saved all the women, then there would be nobody to pass the seed on, so the whole nations would have been killed. But the women didn't listen. Go ahead and read.
But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men and children alive.
So they feared God. They wouldn't do that, sisters and brothers. They wouldn't do that. So Pharaoh had to go to his own people. Skip down to verse 22. Verse 22. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive.
So now look at this, sisters and brothers. Now, Egypt is Ham's second oldest son, Mizraim. Look just like us. And we're going to show you this, sisters and brothers. But they're the only people on the whole planet that tried to wipe out the whole nation of Israel.
Yes, sir.
So when you start spreading blame around, which you don't have the right to do, start with your first labor. They wanted to kill the whole nation. So during the time, Moses came on the scene. Let's go into Exodus, the second chapter, Exodus chapter 2. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Exodus chapter 2 and verse 1. But I like to point that out, sisters and brothers. And we're going to show you, Egyptians look just like us, or we look just like them. Either way you put it. Verse 1, go ahead and read.
And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink.
Now look, she was trying to hide her baby, because the Egyptian Pharaoh, the king, had put out a commandment. kill all the male babies in Israel. So she hid Moses as long as she could. She hid him for 3 months. You know, she didn't even get a chance to name him. She was so busy trying to keep him from killing him, and she took him, built a little old bitty boat, and put him in the flags of the river. That's the Nile, I'm sure, but go ahead and read.
Verse 4, and his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. And her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept.
Go ahead.
And she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
Now, what did the Lord do? He had Moses to float right up into the house of Pharaoh.
Yes.
When she opened that little bit of covering, Moses was crying, and she had compassion, and she said, this is one of the Hebrew children. She knew that he was a Hebrew child. It wasn't like the movie Ten Commandments,
right,
where they found out when he was grown. So now his sister Miriam was watching what was going to happen to Moses. So when she saw Pharaoh's daughter took him, then she came up and and asked Pharaoh's daughter, do you need help? Go ahead and read.
Verse 7, then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?
Go ahead.
And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother.
See now, now the child's mother, Moses' mother, came and she nursed Moses. So you know she was telling Moses, because she kept him until he was weaned. So Moses knew who he was. However, Pharaoh didn't know who he was.
Yes.
Go ahead and read. What verse?
We have verse 9. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages.
Go ahead.
And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son.
Go ahead.
And she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water.
Now there's 2 things we've learned here, sisters and brothers. That Israelites look like Egyptian. Moses was an Israelite, but Pharaoh's daughter took him to be her son. And I'm pretty sure that Pharaoh probably held Moses on his knees 2, 3
yes,
times.
Sir.
And the other thing we learned is that Moses was not named by an Israelite. Moses was named by an Egyptian. Because she said, I got him from the water. That's up from the water, sister and brother. So when you look at the people that call themselves Egyptians, they don't look at the Hamites. And to look at the people that call themselves Israelites, they don't look like Hamites either.
Nope.
But the people that are running Egyptians are the son of Ishmael, Arabs. Those are the ones that's in charge. And then you get the ones that call themselves the children of Esau. Even if you put them together, they don't look alike.
So don't.
But Moses and the Egyptians, Moses passed for Egyptian. Not only Egyptian, he passed for the grandson of the man that was trying to kill him. And he killed all the males in Moses' age bracket, but the Lord let Moses escape. Now let's go into Matthew and look at Jesus now. Matthew, the 2nd chapter. We're going to be in and out from the old and new, sisters and brothers. Matthew chapter 2, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. But just want to point that out, sisters and brothers. Moses passed for Pharaoh's grandson. And ain't no way you can get the one that called himself an Israelite now, call himself a Jew, and take him and into a Pharaoh which is black. Ham's second oldest son, Mizraim, and said, this is your grandson.
Can't do it.
First thing he would have said, daughter, you must be drinking or smoking something. How's this boy going to be my grandson, and he don't look nothing like us? He don't have the kinky hair, and he's white, right? And he have straight hair, right? And he's black. I just want to point that out, sisters and brothers. Not doing a race thing, doing an identification thing. Now, Matthew, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Matthew 2 and 1. Now, this is concerning Jesus. Go ahead and read.
Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Saying, where is he that is born king of the Jews?
Now, see, when the Bible talk about Jesus, it's talking about king of the Jews, the king of Israel.
Yes.
But nobody uses that now in the churches. They put every kind of label on him, but what he have on him. Where is he that's born king of the Jews? Go ahead and read.
For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him.
Go ahead.
When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him.
Now Herod was troubled because Herod, the Romans had made Herod, the converted Jew, king over Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. So all of a sudden now, you got somebody that's born king of Jerusalem, a king of the Jews, then he gonna take my spot. And this Herod, you read up on Herod the Great, sister and brother. This was a ruthless and murderous man. And the biggest thing he killed people for is because he thought they had designs on his seat. And he killed his brothers, he killed his sons, he killed his wives, he killed other people. That's why when he said Jesus king of the Jews, that's why they wanted to kill him. So he called these wise men in. Skip down to verse 7. Verse 7 and go ahead.
Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared.
Go ahead.
And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also.
He said, now I want you to go and find him. That because Herod, under the disguise that he wanted to worship Jesus also, but Herod wanted to kill him.
Yes.
And God weighed in on that. Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11 and go ahead.
And when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh.
Now I finally come to find the reason why they said it was just three, because it's named three gifts here.
Right.
They presented unto him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But one man could have did that, or either all of them could have did that. That don't mean it was three. It just means it was more than one. So they gave him gifts. Go ahead and read.
And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way.
So they didn't even go back. God let them know that, look, Herod want to kill this guy. Go on back to your own country another way. Go ahead and read.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
So now, if Jesus was white like they had depicted on all the pictures, sisters and brothers, then they should have sent Jesus to Europe, shouldn't they?
They should.
Sent him to Rome somewhere, because Herod was working for the Romans. And in Egypt was a Roman province, sister and brother. The Romans ruled Egypt too. All Herod had to say was, go down there, say they got a family I'm trying to get, some people I'm trying to get that fled to Egypt. You can't miss them because they don't look like the people. I want them back. And the Romans would have had them, the Egyptians sent Jesus and Joseph them back to Jerusalem so Herod could kill him. So they didn't go down there to be protected by the Egyptians. They went down there to hide among the Egyptians. It was just another black family among the Egyptians. Go ahead and read what verse?
We have verse 14.
Go ahead.
When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt.
Go ahead.
And was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying,
Go ahead.
Out of Egypt have I called my son.
See, and that goes for Israel too, sisters and brothers. Because Israel, the whole nation, sometimes acts as a prototype of Jesus. So he says, out of Egypt I've called my son. Go ahead and read.
Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem.
Go ahead.
And in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men.
So now, what happened in Moses' time? They killed all the males in Egypt, trying to catch up with him, all the males that were born. And right here, Herod killed all the babies from 2 years and back, trying to catch Jesus. So it's the same thing, sisters and brothers. What happened in Moses' day happened in Jesus' day. The children in his time, the males in his time was killed, and the males in Jesus' time was killed. like unto Moses, sisters and brothers. Now let's go back to Exodus, the 2nd chapter. Exodus chapter 2. Just to let you know, when he said like unto Moses, he meant it, sisters and brothers. Exodus 2, and we're going to start reading at verse 11. Exodus chapter 2 and verse 11. Because we're going to take our time and look at this, sisters and brothers, because the Lord wants us to understand this so we will understand who that prophet is, that he told Moses that he was going to raise up from his brethren, from among his brethren, like unto him. Verse 11, read it.
And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand.
See, because Moses knew he was an Israelite. His mama raised him until he was weaned before she sent him to the Egyptian. And she had schooled him. So when he went out there, says already they was in slavery and they was abusing Israel. And when he went out there and saw this Egyptian abuse this Israelite, he looked around to make sure that nobody's around that saw him, he thought. He didn't think about the ones that the Egyptian was beating. Saw him, you understand?
Right.
So he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So that should have been the end of it, shouldn't it? But go ahead and read.
13. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, who made thee a prince and a judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killest the Egyptian?
Ain't that something? Now that got Moses' attention.
Yeah.
He went out there and now he see a Hebrew. He said, because they're fighting. But the one that was doing the beating, he told him, why are you doing this to your brother? So what you going to do? You going to kill me like you did and like you did the Egyptian? Moses, I know I got to get out of here. Go ahead and read.
And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses.
Go ahead.
But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well.
Now, that's when Pharaoh, I guess that's when he found out that Moses was an Israelite. He wanted to kill Moses, so Moses had to run to get away from him. And he went to the Midianites. You understand? And now to get away from Egypt, there was another nation. Go ahead and read.
Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled their troughs to water their father's flock.
Go ahead.
And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
So apparently it was a habit the shepherd would let them girls draw the water, then they come up there and take it from them. But this time Moses was here. And he rose up, and I guess he dealt with them shepherds, and he watered these girls' flock.
Yes.
And let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that you are come so soon today?
See, he probably wasn't used to them coming back so quick.
Right.
Because they drew the water, these shepherds run them off and watered their stuff. They had to draw it all over again. So he said, now why is it you back so quick? Look what they said to him. Go ahead.
And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds.
An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherd. He didn't say an Israelite that looked like, that dressed like an Egyptian. He said there's an Egyptian that delivered us out of the hand of the shepherd. Finish that.
And also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
Now, they thought Moses was an Egyptian. Skip down to verse 21. Verse 21. Because Moses stayed there. Go ahead and read.
And Moses was content to dwell with the man. And he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter.
Go ahead.
And she bare him a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in process of time that the king of Egypt died.
Now, Moses was down there for a while, so the king that tried to kill him, he died. Go ahead and read.
And the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage.
So now he died, but that didn't change Israel's position. They got worse and worse. And so Israel started to cry out to the Lord. So the Lord, he heard him, and that's when he decided to send Moses back to deliver him. Let's go into Exodus, the 3rd chapter. Exodus, the 3rd chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Exodus 3 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb.
Go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
Now, while Moses was keeping his father-in-law's flock, I suppose they were sheep, he saw this burning bush. So he went to the backside of the desert to take them, and what did he run into? He ran into the mountain of God. That's why the Lord called me to realize that Mount Sinai was in the land of Midian and not on the Sinai Peninsula.
Teach.
So he went there and he saw this burning bush, and he said, look, I'm going to go and see why this bush is burning and not burning up. Go ahead and read.
And Moses said, I would now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt.
Go ahead.
And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here am I.
Go ahead.
And he said, draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground.
So the Lord letting them know you're on holy ground now, because they had an angel there that looked like a burning bush. Them angels show up any way they want. Because a lot of time, like in Nebuchadnezzar's day,
Yes.
not Nebuchadnezzar, his son's day, when he drank out the holy cups, the Lord showed up, all the shit with fingers come crossing right on the plaster of the wall. He had Ezekiel, he wanted to give Ezekiel a message. The angel showed up, and all Ezekiel saw was a hand with a roll of a book in it.
Yes.
Then, when he spoke to the people on the day of Pentecost in the 2nd chapter of Acts, the angel showed up, and all they saw was his tongue.
Yes.
The Lord do things like that. Why? I don't know, but I'm just calling the way it is. So now, he told Moses, when he approached Moses, to take off your shoes, for the ground on which you stand is holy. And skip down to verse 10. Let's see what else he said to Moses. Go ahead and read.
Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh.
Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh.
That thou mightest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
So that's what he told Moses, I'm going to send you to Pharaoh to get my people. Because it's time for Israel to be delivered, because the Lord heard them cry, because the Egyptian was really treating us bad, sisters and brothers. Kill all the males, tried to kill all the males' babies. So there wasn't no male in Moses' generation. That's like I said when Jesus died. A generation died.
Yes.
So it was treating us bad. So go to the 4th chapter of Exodus, Exodus the 4th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 10. Exodus the 4th chapter and verse 10. Because Moses tried to get out of it. But when the Lord called you to do something, sisters and brothers, you can't get out of it. It's all that simple. Verse 10, go ahead and read.
And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am of a slow speech and of a slow tongue.
He said, look, Lord, I'm not an eloquent speaker. I'm not a good orator. And I'm slow of tongue. That means he talk real slow. So why are you going to send me? Somebody that don't talk too good.
Right.
But the Lord, let's see what the Lord said. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto him, who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord?
And he told him, who made the man's mouth? Who made the deaf and the dumb? I'm the one, the Lord. I made it.
Yes, sir.
So why are you coming to me talking about you can't talk? I don't even want to hear. What was that, 15?
That was verse 11.
Verse 11, go ahead and read.
Now therefore go.
Skip down to verse 14 and go ahead.
And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. And he said, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother?
That means Moses, God got mad at Moses because Moses kept on trying to get out of that thing.
Yeah.
You understand? He said, look, ain't Aaron your brother, Aaron the Levite your brother? Go ahead and read.
I know that he can speak well.
Because he's a well speaker. Go ahead and read.
And also, behold, he coming forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart.
So I done already made provision. I know that you can't speak well. So I've already got your brother Aaron coming to you to be with you because he speaks well. See, when the Lord set you to do something, send you to do something, he prepares you and everything around you for it to be done.
That is right.
So Moses was arguing for nothing. That's why the Lord got mad at him. But go ahead and read.
And thou shalt speak unto him, and put words in his mouth.
So what you going to do, Moses? You going to speak to Aaron, and you going to put words in Aaron's mouth. Go ahead and read.
And I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do.
And I'm going to be with both of y'all's mouths to teach you what you should do. Skip down to verse 19. Verse 19, and read it.
And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt.
Now look what he, pay attention now. He said, go and return unto Egypt. Go ahead and read.
For all the men are dead which sought thy life.
For all the men are dead which sought to kill you, Moses. They're all dead now. So going on back to Egypt now. So he sent Moses back to deliver his people, but he let him know you ain't got to worry about Pharaoh or anybody else. He is dead. Now let's go back to Matthew, the 2nd chapter, and have a look at how the Lord dealt with Jesus.
Teach.
Back to Matthew chapter 2. Because the Lord, when he said like unto Moses, he meant it, sisters and brothers. So a lot of people think that God don't mean what he said. Well, you see, he said this, but he mean this. No, he mean what he said.
Yes.
Matthew's 2, Matthew's the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 19. Matthew chapter 2 and verse 19. Because we want you to understand that the Lord mean precisely what he said. And it's very clear. You don't have to go in there and say, oh, I wonder if he meant this. No, he going to tell you. Verse 19, go ahead.
But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life.
Now, ain't that something? He told him the exact same thing that he told Moses. He showed up in a dream to Joseph and said, now take your young child and take him on back to Jerusalem now, because they are dead that sought the young child's life. The exact thing he did with Moses, sisters and brothers, he did with Egypt, with Jesus. He just planned it out, just like a carbon copy. It all happened on the same order. Now let's go back to Exodus, the 7th chapter. Exodus chapter 7. Just to let you know, you should know who this prophet is. If you know how the Lord operated with Moses, then you will know this guy when he show up.
Yes.
He shows up under the same conditions. The same thing that happened to Moses happened to him, except for the crucifixion. But he's a prophet like unto Moses, sisters and brothers, a prophet like unto Moses. That's why you look at it, and when you understand what Moses was doing, you understand who this was that showed up on the scene as the anointed one, the Messiah, the Christ. 7, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Exodus 7 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
Ain't that something? Now God told him, he done made him a god to Pharaoh.
Yeah, he did.
In other words, whatever you say, it's going to happen. Pharaoh can't stop it. And your brother Aaron, he's going to be your prophet. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt speak all that I command thee. And Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land.
Go ahead.
And I will harden Pharaoh's heart and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt.
Now, this is what he's saying now. You go and you do this here. But I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart so I can multiply my signs upon Egypt. Now, God ain't going to let Pharaoh listen to Moses, because he had a bone to pick with Egypt. Go ahead and read.
But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hands upon Egypt.
Ain't that something? Pharaoh is not going to listen to you, so I have a reason to lay my hand upon Egypt. He already had a reason. You know what it was? Child slavery and killing all the males during Moses' time.
That's right.
The Lord said, look here, I'm going to collect. So he will not listen to you, that I may lay my hands up on Egypt. So Moses knew Pharaoh wasn't going to listen.
That's right.
Pharaoh didn't know that he wasn't going to listen, though. Go ahead and read.
And bring forth mine armies
Uh-huh.
and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments.
Uh-huh.
And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them.
So the Egyptians going to know who I am when I get through dealing with them. Skip down to verse 14. Verse 14 and go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go.
Go ahead.
Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink against he come. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shalt thou take in thine hand. And thou shalt...
Now he said, look, I want you to get down and meet Pharaoh now. On the way, I want you to ambush him.
Yeah.
And the rod that I got, that I turned to a snake that's in your hand, I want you to use this rod. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt say unto him, the Lord God of the Hebrews has sent me unto thee,
go ahead,
saying, let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear.
Now he said, look, the Lord said, let Israel go, that they might serve him. But to this point, this very time right now, you won't hear what the Lord said. Go ahead and read.
Thus saith the Lord.
So this is what the Lord said here. Go ahead and read.
In this thou shalt know that I am the Lord.
Go ahead.
Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in my hand upon the waters which are in the river.
Now he's telling Pharaoh what the Lord said. So the Lord said, since you wouldn't listen, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do now. This rod that's in Moses' hand, he's going to smite your rivers. Go ahead and read.
And they shall be turned to blood.
And they're going to be turned to blood. That is really something. The Lord's calling it, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 20. And he did it. Verse 20. Go ahead and read.
And Moses and Aaron did so as the Lord commanded. And he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh.
Go ahead.
And in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood.
Now that was the first plague he brought, sisters and brothers. When he did that, all the waters in the river was turned to blood. That's the very first plague that he stopped. And that fell on all of Egypt. Go ahead and read.
And the fish that was in the rivers died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river. And there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantment. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Neither did he hearken unto them as the Lord had said.
So the Lord let them Egyptian magician bring forth a little blood too to make Pharaoh think that this is a hoax.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that hardened his heart. Ain't gonna let nobody go. That was the first plague when he made the waters blood. Now let's go into Exodus the 8th chapter and start reading at verse 1. Exodus chapter 8 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, go unto Pharaoh, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me.
He keep telling them making the same commandment, let my people go, that they may serve me, knowing that he's not. Go ahead and read.
And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs.
And he's telling them what I'm going to do. Now, if you don't let them go, God said he's going to bring frogs upon you from everywhere. Go ahead and read.
And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house.
Go ahead.
And into thy bedchamber. And upon thy bed.
Go ahead.
And into the house of thy servant. And upon thy people. And into thine ovens. And into thy kneading troughs.
He said, look, these frogs going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
When you go to bed, they're going to be all in your bed.
Yeah.
When you go to the kitchen, they're going to do that. If you got ready to cook something and you open up the oven, that's going to be full of frogs. Boy, that is some scary stuff.
Yeah, it is.
And then he brought it to pass. Skip down to verse 6. Verse 6 and go ahead.
And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt. And the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt.
Ain't that something? I mean, he stretched out the rod and the frogs came and covered the land of Egypt. I mean, no matter where it was, if you was in Egypt, you had the frogs.
You had them.
That was the second plague. Skip down to verse 8. Verse 8 and read it.
Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat the Lord that he may take away the frog from me.
He had enough of them frogs everywhere. Entreat the Lord that he may take away these frogs from me. Go ahead and read.
And from my people. And I will let the people go that they may do sacrifices to the Lord.
He said, I'm going to let them go. Just tell them to pull these frogs up off us. Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13, and because that was the second plague. Now, verse 13, go ahead.
And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank.
Now when they went and the Lord killed all them frogs, and when they piled them up, it's on big piles of frogs.
Yeah.
And they started to decompose. They rotted. So the whole land of Egypt stank. That had to be a bad sight and smell. Go ahead and read.
But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said.
And see, sisters and brothers, when the Lord do something to you, when he wants you to do something, I don't care how bad you don't want to do it.
Right?
You got to do what the Lord said. Because the Lord wanted to lay his hands on Egypt for what Egypt has done to his people. That's why I don't worry about other nations or what they've done to us. Payday going to come for them, and can't nobody stop it. I'm not going to spend my time hating and disliking and insulting people.
Make it plain.
I'm going to stay close to my God. He going to do the insult. He going to do the hating and the disliking and the killing. He going to do much more than I possibly could. So the Lord would not hearken unto him as the Lord said. He wanted to keep letting you know that. Go ahead and read.
Verse 15. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt.
So he going to put something else on him. Now he going to bring some lice. Stretch out your hand and make the dust. That means you can't escape if the dust, because dust is on your body already, whether you know it or not. Go ahead and read.
And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man.
And, this is bad. When the dust that's on you turn to lice, and you itching all the time. How far did it go? Go ahead. Go ahead.
And it became lice in man and in beasts. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt.
That means nobody escaped, sisters and brothers. Even the Israelites didn't escape. This is the third plague. But now the Lord is going to change up a little bit. Skip down to verse 19. That's before he bring the last 7. Verse 19. And go ahead and read.
Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of God.
Now they try to tell you, now they know that this God doing this now.
Yeah.
This is the finger of God. This ain't no man doing this. Moses is not doing this. God is doing this. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh's heart was hardened.
And that made Pharaoh mad. God know what to do to Pharaoh to push his button, because God created him. And so Pharaoh's heart was hardened again. Go ahead and read.
And he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord has said.
And he didn't listen again, as the Lord had said. The Lord wants you to understand he was doing this. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh.
Go ahead.
Lo, he cometh forth to the water, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go that they may serve me.
Ask him, he making the same commandment. Let them go that they might serve me. Go ahead and read.
Else if thou wilt not let my people go,
if you won't let them go,
behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and all the ground whereupon they are.
He said, now look, if you don't let them go, I'm going to send flies on you. I mean swarms. The ground going to be full of them. All the houses going to be full of them. Everything you have is going to be flies, swarms of flies. But then he going to make a shift here. Go ahead and read. Upon the Egyptians. Go ahead and read.
And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell.
So what I'm going to do then, but I'm going to separate the land of Goshen from this plague I'm going to bring, for my people dwell. Go ahead and read.
That no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end that thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth.
So these flies are going to come up to you now. So God separated his people from the rest of the plague, sisters and brothers. These flies going to destroy Egypt, but they are not going to have, I'm not going to have one fly in the land of Goshen where my people is. Go ahead and read.
23, and I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be.
Go ahead.
And the Lord did so. And there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarms of flies.
Now, they was all over the place. I mean, the flies was everywhere in the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted. That, sisters and brothers, is the first of 7 last plagues. Skip down to verse 25. I mean, go ahead, brother, in the verse 25. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron and said, go ye, sacrifice to your God in the land.
And now, he had enough now. He thought, go sacrifice to your God in the land.
Yeah.
But Moses didn't want to sacrifice in the land. He wanted to get out of the land.
Yes, sir.
God wanted him out of the land. Skip down to verse 30. Verse 30 and go ahead.
And Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. There remained not one.
I mean, he killed every one of them. But what happened? Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also, neither would he let the people go.
So the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart again. Because the Lord said he did that, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
He still wouldn't let the people go. Now the flies is the first of 7 plagues that fell upon Egypt and Egypt only. Didn't touch Israel. Now let's go into Exodus the 9th chapter. Exodus the 9th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. 9 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Then the Lord said unto Moses, go in unto Pharaoh and tell him, thus saith the Lord, God of the Hebrews, let my people go that they may serve me.
Now he keep making the same commandment, don't he? Let my people go that they might serve thee. Now I want you to know that this is the commandment of the God of the Hebrews, the God of Israel. Go ahead and read.
For if thou refuse to let them go and will hold them still,
Go ahead.
behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain.
Go ahead.
And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt. And there shall nothing die of all that is in the children of Israel.
He says, if you don't let them go, I'm going to kill all of your cows. I'm going to kill your animals, your oxen, your sheep, and all that. But not one cow in Israel is going to die. Not one. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord appointed a set time, saying, tomorrow the Lord shall do this thing in the land.
And he lets you know what I'm going to tell you when I'm going to do it, so you know it's not just a coincidence or just an accident. I'm deliberately doing this to you because you won't let my people go. And you won't let my people go that Pharaoh didn't understand, because I ain't going to let you let them go, because I got a controversy with Egypt for what they done to my people. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6, and the Lord did that thing on the morrow, and all the cattle of Egypt died. But of the cattle of the children of Israel did not one.
Ain't that something? Not one, sisters and brothers. Not one cow died among the children of Israel. That is the second plague of the last 7. Not one. Verse 7, go ahead.
And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of the Israelites dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go.
And that made Pharaoh mad. He going to fight with God. You going to kill all of the Egyptian cattle, and you don't kill one Israelite cow. I tell you what, I ain't going to let them go. I ain't letting your people go nowhere. So in his mind, he was fighting against God. He thought he had some power, but God was pulling the strings. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8, and the Lord said unto Moses and unto Aaron, take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh. And it shall come to, and it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and shall be a boil breaking forth with blaze upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Egypt.
Now I want you to get this dust. They're going to create boils and blaze, all kind of sores on men, all over Egypt. But go ahead and read.
And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven. And it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils.
Now, he put that up there. Now, that boils was the third chapter, third plague of the last 7 plagues that the Lord brought. And the Egyptian could not stand because the magician, because it was on them.
Yeah.
They was itching too. Go ahead and read.
For the boil was upon the magicians and upon all the Egyptians. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had spoken to Moses.
And the Lord got, and Pharaoh got mad because of that. But the Lord is the one that hardened his heart, as he told Moses. He ain't going to let you go because I'm going to lay my hand on Egypt. That let me know God is the one that's running it, sisters and brothers.
Yes, sir.
So that was the third plague. But skip down to verse 18. Verse 18, and go ahead.
Behold, tomorrow, about this time, I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as has not been in Egypt since the foundation thereof, even until now.
He said, now, I'm going to bring some rain that Egypt ain't never seen, even to this day. Even to this very day. Go ahead and read.
Send therefore now and gather thy cattle and all that thou hast in the field. For upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them and they shall die.
Now, so he warned Moses and Israel, now go out there and get your cattle out of the field.
Yeah.
Because this hail is going to kill everything that's in the field. Skip down to verse 22 and go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch forth thine hand toward heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt.
Go skip down to verse 5, and he did it. Go ahead and read.
Verse 25.
Verse 25, brother. Verse 25. Go ahead.
And the hail smote throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb of the field and brake every tree of the field.
Now, that was the fourth
Yes.
plague of the 7, sisters and brothers. Hail broke down all the trees and everything because the Lord was working on Egypt, sisters and brothers. Now skip now to verse 35. Verse 35 and read it.
And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Israel go, as the Lord had spoken by Moses.
And the Lord made him change his mind again, as he spoke by the mouth of Moses. Because the Lord is doing this. Now let's go into Exodus, the 10th chapter, because we're going to look at this. It's important that we know that the Lord brought all these plagues, because we're going to compare it to the prophet like unto Moses. Exodus 10, and we're going to start reading at verse 3. Exodus 10 and verse 3.
You want verse 1, brother?
Huh?
Exodus, okay.
Exodus 10 and 3. Okay, go ahead.
And Moses and Aaron came in unto Pharaoh and said unto him, thus said the Lord God of the Hebrews, how long wilt thou refuse to humble thyself before me? Let my people go that they may serve me.
Now, he asked, how long? What else do I have to do to you before you humble yourself?
Yeah.
Let my people go that I might serve thee. Now, that's some scary stuff.
Yeah,
I know this guy wanted to capitulate. I know it. But God wouldn't let him. That's when you didn't cross the line with the Lord.
Teach.
That's almost like a reprobate mind. You understand? But I'm not saying this is a reprobate mind, but if the Lord don't let you change your way, then you are in trouble. And let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
Else, if thou refuse to let my people go, behold, tomorrow will I bring the locusts into thy coast.
Now, if this guy was on his own, he done seen all that the Lord had done to him, he would have let him go, wouldn't he?
Right.
Especially now you done threatened to bring locusts on me, and everything that you said you was going to do to me, you have done it.
Right.
Please leave. But the Lord hardened his heart. He couldn't do that. Skip down to verse 12. Verse 12, and go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail had left.
So whatever the hail left, I want these locusts to come up and eat it all. Go ahead and read.
And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt. And the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day.
Go ahead.
And all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts.
Go ahead.
And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before there was no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such.
I mean, there was a whole lot of locusts here, but go ahead and read.
For they covered the face of the whole earth.
I mean, you couldn't see the ground for them. They covered the face of the whole earth. Go ahead.
So that the land was darkened, and they did eat every herb of the land and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees or in the herbs of the field throughout all the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned. I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you.
I guess I would have called for him too. Yeah. You understand? He knew that he was sin. But what he didn't know, he couldn't help himself because the Lord wanted to get even with Egypt. Just like when the Lord got mad at Israel, and he made David count them. And then he killed 70,000 of them because Israel had done something to make the Lord mad. So now Pharaoh had done something to make the Lord mad. So the Lord was going to collect, and so now he ain't going to let this guy change his mind. What verse are we now?
We at verse 17.
Go ahead.
Now therefore forgive, I pray thee, my sin only this once, and entreat the Lord your God, they may take away from me this death only.
He really got humbled, didn't he?
Yeah,
I guess so too. You couldn't walk for locusts. I mean, they're everywhere. I would have been scared too. That was the sixth plague of the seventh that he brought, sisters and brothers. Now skip down to verse 19. And go ahead.
And the Lord turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coast of Egypt.
And letting you know that the Lord is absolute in what he do. If he said going to remove them, he didn't leave one. Go ahead and read.
But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go.
Because he had some more plague. Which one? He had one more plague he had to bring on him. So he hardened his heart and he wouldn't let the children Israel go. Go ahead and read.
Verse 20. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thine hand toward heaven.
Go ahead.
That there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt.
Go ahead.
And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven. And there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days.
I mean, this is real dark. So dark you couldn't even see at the end of your eyelashes. Go ahead and read.
They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days.
Now look, it was so dark until they didn't know where to go, so they just sat wherever they was. And for 3 days in one place. That's dark, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings.
Because remember, he had separated the children of Israel, made a difference between them. So all of the children of Israel, they had light in their dwellings, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and read.
And Pharaoh called unto Moses and said, go ye, serve the Lord. Only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you.
Now he's going to let them go under conditions there. You can go, but don't take your livestock with you. No, that ain't going to work. Keep reading. What verse?
25. And Moses said, thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings.
Go ahead.
That we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind.
Moses got bold, didn't he? Look at here. We got to take our cattle with us, and there shall not a hoof be left behind. Now, I know that got Pharaoh's goat then. You gonna tell me?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
For thereof must we take to serve the Lord our God, and we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come there. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go.
That's probably what made Pharaoh mad when he said, we ain't gonna leave a hoof behind. And he got mad. So the Lord know how to push your button, sisters and brothers. And he would not let the people go. Y'all ain't going nowhere. Keep reading.
And Pharaoh said unto him, get thee from me. Take heed to thyself. See my face no more. For in that day that thou seest my face, thou shalt die.
Now Pharaoh really is not even threatened Moses. So you better watch yourself. Take heed to yourself. Don't come to me no more. Because the day that you see my face, that's the day you're going to die. I guess he really got mad when Moses told him we ain't going to leave a hoof behind. What did Moses reply?
And Moses said, thou hast spoken well. I will see thy face again no more.
Moses didn't feel threatened, did he?
Nope.
Hey, I heard you, and I'm telling you this. You told the truth. I won't see your face no more. Because Moses knew what the Lord was going to do.